aim for is to conserve, protect, and restore, or identify monitoring in areas where our activities are protecting things, restoring things, trying to focus our restoration activities where they're needed. There are 877 federally recognized areas, 30 million acres. We've got national monuments, national conservation areas, wilderness areas, well and scenic rivers, national historic trails, the California desert part of the system. A little bit about the Agua Fria itself. About 40 miles north of Phoenix, established in 2000. In large part, it was established because of the abundant cultural resources there. There are over 450 known cultural sites just within this 70,000-acre monument. Only about 5% has been surveyed. There's diverse habitats. We've got desert grasslands, vibrant riparian systems. The monument has unique wildlife. We've got 5 teeny species. We also have pronghorn, which is kind of unique in the area. We've got water, which is pretty unique for the desert, something the monument was named after. We've also got scientific research going, cultural and wildlife are kind of the focus areas. It is a multiple use area. We've got about 80,000 visitors, 10 active grazing allotments, a lot of recreation, a lot of people sightseeing. Yeah, back in 2012, we were selected as a demonstration area. So kind of what I was talking about is we want to be able to assess our management activities on monument objects. We also want to know if we're meeting our Arizona health standards. We definitely want to focus our monitoring on those standards, and then kind of another little side thing is we're working on a coordinated resource management plan. We're doing this in an adaptive manner. We're working with various stakeholders, agencies, private landowners. We're going through this process to develop triggers or thresholds and triggers to kind of assess or prevent undue degradation to our objects. So I said a little bit about the CRMP process, Coordinated Cooperative Resource Management Plan. We've got the monument, which is kind of the yellow part here. The horseshoe allotment is the BLM administered side. Smack dab in the middle there is a 200-acre ranch that's owned by Game and Fish, which they've subleased the property to a private individual to run the grazing. We're also working with the Forest Service on their 40,000-acre side of the fence. We've got the Nature Conservancy is kind of facilitating all of our involvement developing this plan. We're doing this in a collaborative approach. We're working with all these stakeholders, trying to get buy-in from all these different groups and people to do what's right out there. We're using the same as a collaborative tool and a way to kind of tell the story of what's actually happening out there. Let's talk a little bit about the land health evaluation. This is where we use AIM data heavily. We wanted to use it both at the local level, but also the landscape level. We set up desired plant community objectives, wanted to monitor weeds. Also, one of the things that came out of our collaboration with Game and Fish was they wanted to know key forage species for pronghorn, which one are our keystone species. A little bit extra work we had to do just to answer some relevant questions was to supplement certain areas of utilization in 17 indicators.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about the data and how we kind of use this data in our land health evaluation, Paul mentioned. So as you can see here is a map of the BLM portion, or the BLM allotment, the horseshoe allotment. And the AIM data was stratified by ecological site. So this is kind of the greatest ecological site found in the allotment, which is volcanic upland. It's roughly 60% of the allotment. We kind of found that not all our ecological site data was correct, though, so we're kind of in the process of revamping that. So we had 9 AIM plots in this volcanic upland site, and as you can see, this is a kind of representative picture of what this area looks like. So getting into the data, the graph up on top there is foliar cover and composition by functional group. And so the bar on the left is what our AIM data told us we're at, and then along with the standard deviation. And then the bar on the right is the NRCS potential site community or site potential. So this is a statistical comparison. I just put those error bars in there to kind of show where we're at. in relation to those ESDs. So I also pulled out the Tobosa graphs right here and some of the annuals that we found, just because the Tobosa is an indicator species for us, and I wanted to bring those annuals out as well. On the bottom, we, as part of the Arizona Land Health Standards, we're required to come up with desired resource conditions. So on the left, we have what our AIM data says we're at, and then on the right is what our desired resource conditions are, and that's also correlates with the ESDs. So as you can see, we are looking pretty good. We have a little more litter than we probably want out there, but we can kind of work on that to our management actions. So, and then the photos on the right are actual AIM plots and the crew actually out collecting data. This shows our canopy gap cover, and this data was collected in a drought year, so you can kind of see that our gaps are kind of high, and that's kind of expected for this site, or this area ecological site. But what I kind of put this in here for is this gap data is going to be really useful in monitoring our monument objects, like cultural resources, and monitoring the erosion potential of those objects. So the other data that we also used in our land health evaluation was the 17 indicators for rangeland health, utilization, precipitation data, and we also had 2 legacy key areas from the Arizona State Land Department where we collected frequency and production data. And Paul didn't mention it, but this area was selected as a demonstration area because we had like 0 data because it was designated a monument from state land. So.
All right, so I've mentioned a little bit about our coordinated resource management plan that we're working with all these stakeholders. This as a group is kind of how we think the world works. So it's kind of a little complicated, but what we've got here is kind of our resource objectives, things we all care about, kind of important factors to maintaining those things we care about, objects, threats to these things, and then the yellow are all various strategies to kind of monitor or fix the problem. So AIM itself actually can be used for bits and pieces of these things. Kind of a little more simplified model. Something that we actually want to maintain or improve pronghorn populations, kind of a big lofty goal. One of the key factors for maintaining and improving pronghorn populations are maintaining spawning grounds. So it kind of goes into certain components of that. AIM actually picks up, like the grass height, like herbaceous canopy gap, fair ground, and the maintenance of P4 species, like I said before. So this is kind of just a little quick data analysis. The green triangles down here are grasses or herbaceous species. The blue are woody species. Pronghorn don't really like trees unless it's 120 and they're in the shade there. But so we like the grasslands. As far as the fawning state or the strategic pronghorn plan, it says you need about at least 8 inches. Optimum is about 11 to 18 inches of herbaceous height. So you can see across all of our ecological sites, we're at least at the maintaining the minimum. This one's during a drought, so it's pretty sparse out there. So as we went through this process, we did realize that there are some additional steps that we need to do to kind of get to where we need to be. So as the AIM plots were set up, they were stratified across the entire monument by ecological type. And what we found is that some areas were a little overrepresented and some were a little underrepresented. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to implement some more sites to really get the representation that we want. And this is kind of illustrated in this map. You can see there's a ton of plots down there, and then some of these pastures up here just don't really have enough to really tell us what we need. So as a side note, there's an allotment kind of right here that we've also done a land health evaluation on, and those sites were adequate. We don't have to add any additional sites to that other allotment. We did find that we need to update some of our soils and ESDs. They weren't 100% accurate, so that's something that we're in the process within RCS doing right now. This implementing AIM, it requires a pretty significant amount of time and work. So if you're going to be doing it, you better plan on spending a lot of time in the office and a lot of time in the field. We needed a soil scientist to go out with us, so that's something else that we really needed. And we would also like to get the aquatic AIM monitoring protocol going on the monument.
We're hoping that that's going to get rolling here very soon. And we would also like to see the AIM protocol that we could use to monitor cultural resources as well. So in conclusion, we feel the AIM is a pretty useful tool for managers. We've been able to use it pretty well. AIM can be used for adaptive management situations like we're doing with our coordinated resource management plan. It can be used to assess various types of wildlife habitat and their associated needs. And we're hoping, like I just previously mentioned, that we can use it for other things such as our monument objects and other resources like cultural and riparian, excuse me. So, and you know, if you're going to implement this and you haven't already, like I said earlier, it takes time and a lot of work and a lot of funding. So, yeah, thanks.
So we'll take questions after Kevin's done.